Uh, This is Alex with Utah Sustainable Gardening. Today is October 26th, and I've added a third box to my hive. My other two boxes are nearly all capped, and we've got weather in the upper 50s and the upper 60s scheduled for the next 10 days, so this is just a little bit of extra protection. Make sure that my bees don't get upset with the amount of road and abscond or anything else. This is just give them a little bit of room. I'm still feeding. That bottle's been on. I don't remember what day I placed it, but I think it was a week ago on Monday, maybe Tuesday. So they're starting to take feed slower with cooler weather. I'll probably stick a new bottle on regardless today. You can't see the detail on this, I don't think, but I just saw a bee go in with pollen, so I'm still getting pollen. The girls are still taking care of themselves. That one's got pollen on her, and that's a good sign. Now I'd like to address some other issues, ecological issues. I was on Facebook today and a gentleman was worried about whether what he did in the city was going to have any effect. This was especially after driving through farms and acres of farmland and meadows and whatnot. Looking at this hive, it's a very small hive, but it's about a third of the size of a hive that bees will naturally look for. They look for about around a 40-liter box. This one's in the vicinity of 2 liters per box, so about 6 liters, maybe a quarter of what a normal beehive looks for. And during the summer, they primarily fed off of 5 trumpet vines, which are actually not really big trumpet vines. They're actually quite small, quite restrained. 2 of them might be considered medium, but these aren't big plants. And that's where they were getting most of their nectar from late summer and most of their pollen from late summer. So you start doing the math on that, and you can actually make a difference on a small area. You know, I live in an apartment building, and if each one of our flower beds had a trumpet vine in it, that would meet the needs of this hive, at least the way it was this summer. It'll be a little bit different next year because it is growing. But by thinking small in a small area, we can accomplish big things. Later on today, I'll show you the flower beds I have. They weren't as productive as a bee feeding beds as I had hoped, but they're still there. They're still being used even on this late date in October, although they're going to be gone today or tomorrow. At least the flowers that the bees are feeding off of and like. So when you're looking at ecology, don't forget to look at the microecology. Don't forget to look at your quarter-acre lot or your apartment flower beds. And again, I'll show some stuff later on in this video, later on today, and then we can discuss it and decide what we think online. So I'll catch you later. Manana. This is Alex with Utah Sustainable Gardening. These are the flower beds at the apartment next to mine. We watch carefully here. I can find them. I've got some bees, some honeybees feeding here, and they're quite happy. They come in here mostly. She keeps on getting away from me. I can see her with my eye, I can't see her with the camera. But they've been feeding here happily really since the weather's gotten bad. Unfortunately, my hopes that they'd feed here all summer were dashed. They didn't particularly like the flowers I planted. Zinnias usually do well. This variety is just kind of not as attractive to the bugs. I won't use it again. But if you look over there in the zinnias, you'll see that the bees are there. They're using what they can this time of year. And this is, give you a whole view of this. This is a very small flower bed. This really would only do a fraction of bees even if they visited it on a regular basis, even from my mini hive. But what you don't see is all the native bees that occupied this area. And for a native bee, they're not in a colony. It's the mama bee and the baby bees, and that's it. I mean, she goes, she lays her eggs, and then she dies and hopes they make it. So this little flower bed has been really instrumental in some of those species. And I would see here during the right season bees feeding every day. And I could tell they were the same bees because they're here every day. So as you look at that, think about what it can do for any landscape. Just to take, gosh, there might be probably no more than 15 square feet here total. Right over here I've got perennials that my neighbors allowed me to keep there, and I love my perennials. But 15 feet, and I'm having an effect on the local ecology. Next year I'm going to try some different plants and see if we can increase the number of bees, not just honeybees but native bees, and hopefully bring in some hummingbirds and maybe some butterflies. We do not have anywhere near the number of butterflies we had in this area when I was a kid. And so that's what you can do. Just to finish off here, I've got pansies going in either today or tomorrow. I'm going to be sad because they're not as environmentally useful, but so far I haven't found anything that's suitable for the winter months that has an environmental impact. I'm certainly going to keep on looking, and even if I can find them. Now over here you got my flower beds, and these are wild and woolly. I planted some annuals where I had extra space. Right there, that's parsley that got away. I had it planted in the bed, now it's growing in the lawn. There's an onion, top-sending onion. There's a weed. Fortunately, the apartment manager doesn't really do much to remove these, and it's edible, so I might get around to eating it if I think the cats haven't messed it up too much. But you look through here, you've got two types of agastache that are still, well, one that's in bloom, one that's just fading. I had echinacea that was in bloom. There's a lot of stuff in here. Not all of it's good for the bees and the ecology, but they're here. There's my new one this year. I've found some space for an aster. The bees have already found it, and they're feeding heavier on that than anything else right now. Again, a very small area, big ecological footprint. I would really be happy, it would just make my day if I could talk the landlord into letting me plant this with flowers or vegetables. Anything to be more productive, but I haven't, 9 years I haven't been able to talk him into that yet. So don't be afraid to go small if that's what you have, and don't be afraid to just jump in and do something. The great thing is, in a 15 square foot bed, if I make a mistake, it takes me less than an hour to tear it all out and start again. So keep that in mind. Again, ecological impact. This is Alex Grover with Utah Sustainable Gardening. Manana.